Okay. Let's
Right.
get into this sucker.
I know. It's a great episode. One of my favorites of all time. Welcome to the OC Bitches.
Welcome to the OC Bitches.
Season 4, episode 7. We love to say this, the Chrismukk-huh. Today, we will be interviewing the writers of the episode and producers on the show, Regis Philbin and John Stephens. But before we get to them, we have a special guest.
Very special guest.
Special?
Yeah, special. Josh Schwartz has been bugging us for months about our guest. Yes, please welcome Craig Susser. He's a restaurateur, actor, and the guy who played Santa Claus, the journalist, the ham guy, and the caterer, all in this episode. Which, strangely enough, I never put together. And not only was Craig all these iconic characters in one episode, but he's been a part of the OC family since season 3. What else did he do, Rach?
Well, Craig was in 2 episodes in season 3. In The Journey, he played the cop on the pier, and then again played cop number 1 in The Man of the Year. He was then featured in 3 episodes in season 4, The Chrismukk-huh, where he played an assortment of characters, which we went over. And in the French Connection episode, he played the reading guy, page 47, anyone? And finally, he reprised his role as the ham guy in The Night Moves.
Now, like, can we just boil this down? I think anytime Josh needed a guy, he just called me.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have to say, besides acting, Craig, you own the very popular and infamous hotspot restaurant Craig's LA in Los Angeles.
Yes,
I gotta give a little shout
The
out.
hot spot is what makes me cringe. But yes, I'm very lucky.
The hot spot.
Let's
come up with a new term.
It's a restaurant that's doing very well in West Hollywood, and I am thrilled.
Oh, wow. I love that. Thank
humble
you so
spot.
much. Well,
Yeah, we go keep it under the radar as far as like taking it too far, because it is a business, much like having a TV show where you're just lucky that there's an audience and that people love it and people want to come, and you don't ever want to do anything that changes that.
wow.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
point.
A good point. And I can't wait to, but I was asking Josh, like, what should we know? And he told us, and you can tell what your version of the story
yes.
is,
Right.
but his
We have
version
a
was that
story.
he'd done an interview where he said his favorite restaurant was Dan Tana's. Dan Tana's is the famous and if not most infamous or one of the most infamous LA restaurants of all time.
Yeah.
Been around
Yeah,
for
I
a
started
long
there when
time.
I was 22 years old. I was in an acting class going to college, and I was a bartender and a waiter, and just kind of they groomed me. They taught me the business, and I remember I was the maitre d', and there was a phone call about a guy wanted to see me about a role on the OC, and I still do it today. I don't typically ask people what they do for a living. I just kind of get to know you, and you either become a regular or you don't. And I think the same thing kind of happened with Josh. And I don't think I ever put 2 and 2 together that Josh Schwartz was the Josh Schwartz that had created the OC.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very interesting one day. It was like, somebody wants you on the OC, and I'm not even sure you have to read for it. I think you just got it. And
Right.
I was like, okay. And then it wasn't until I got to set that I realized that it was the same Josh.
Oh.
Right? So it was actually really, really cool, and it was great. And then that led to, Doug Ellen called me from Entourage. Then I was on Entourage. And then Jerry Weintraub called and said, hey, you're doing this and this. You should be in Ocean's 12. And then somebody else called and said, you should be in Get Smart. And like all of a sudden over the years, I started getting a lot of roles. And also I think I got a lot of roles because I was good at what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't cost them money because I nailed it. And then also I kind of knew my place and I knew everybody. And so I was easy to have on set, and I knew who the leads were. And I was just a guy that they were happy to have on set, and I enjoyed myself, and I was good at what I did. And like I said, it didn't cost anybody any money. So, and I had somewhere to go. So I wasn't actually looking for extra scenes. It was like, what are we shooting? When are we shooting it? Is it possible that I can get out at 4:30 or 5 o'clock and still go back to work?
Right.
And that was kind of like they were in love because
Yeah.
it was an easy day.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, you played, I don't even know, I lost count of how many roles.
No, so it just kind of became like a running joke. It's like, he needs a guy.
Right.
He needs a guy. So
You're
it's
the
like,
guy
there we
guy.
go. And then we came to the Chrismukk-huh episode, and they said, okay, you're going back on the OC. And I'm like, is it the same role? And he goes, I can't really, I don't know. It's like, it seems like it's 4 different roles. And then I got the script, and I'm like, okay. has he lost his mind? Is he psychotic? Like,
Right.
what happened? And then I realized it was some sort of a dream sequence.
Right.
Yeah.
And I got to, the great thing is like, I loved it when I got to shoot with some of the series regulars like Peter or Ben or just anybody that like I knew in real life. I got to shoot with them. So that was really a lot of fun. And then, I mean, I think who doesn't want to play a drunk Santa in, like who doesn't want to do that?
It was like Bad Santa before it existed.
Right, exactly. It was like the greatest thing in the whole wide world. And so it was a lot of fun.
That picture of you and Ben that they can put up right there, Josh said that literally became a key piece of art for season 4 that promoted the whole season 4.
That's unbelievable.
But you were saying that you got this phone call, and in Josh's story, he was saying that his favorite restaurant was Dantana's.
Yeah, he came
and
in a
as
lot.
people that love restaurants, they especially if you're a regular, you're so welcomed, especially by the maitre d'. If you're a regular, it really is like a joyful passion thing. I mean, I love restaurants. I'm a foodie as well, and somebody is telling everybody who. If you don't know who it is, somebody told Josh that you're an actor. So I have a feeling somebody's telling people that you're an actor, and that's when he gets this idea like, what? I love this guy.
Do you think that's what happened? Or I think did he just love, I think he loved
He said he got a call from Dantana's to say that Craig is an actor.
Wow.
Dantana's was, pimping you out.
Maybe he was trying to get rid of me. So the fascinating thing is, what you just touched on about restaurants being a personal experience, right? And so we're in this world right now where we've got, technology where people make reservations and you don't really have to know anybody. And so we've kind of foot in both worlds as far as Craig's goes. But I am trained to be one of those old school people that my job is essentially finding regulars and making sure that they're comfortable, right? And that's our business, because I think we're kind of at an impersonal point in our world where we're kind of all buried in our phones. We're all buried in technology. And it's really nice when you walk in the door and you see somebody that you know, and there's that moment of human interaction, especially having gone through COVID over the last 2.5 years and being buried in our houses. So those moments, and that, Craig's is one of those restaurants where, much like Dantana's, it's a personal experience. And that isn't a barrier to entry, right? So as you experience Craig's for the first time, the goal is that you want to become a regular and that we embrace you, right? So the idea that one of the regulars, who I didn't know at the time was a producer, would reach out and try to help me achieve one of my dreams of being an actor was like amazing. And it was such a sweet thing, and it was so organic, because the one thing I was warned about was don't walk around and tell people you're an actor.
Really?
Just be a waiter. Be a really good waiter. If you're a bartender, be a really good bartender. And in fact, it's a note I give the people that work for me today. I'm like, let them fall in love with you. Be really good at what you do. And then they might take an interest in what your dreams are.
Right.
And a lot of those people that you're taking care of, they have dreams too. I mean, nobody starts with it being really handed to you.
Right.
You have to kind of go out and get it.
There's some action that needs to be taken.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that I love finding people that haven't quite achieved their dreams yet and seeing the potential in them. Like when I get some new customers and they introduce me and they're like, oh, this is a young writer director. And I'm like, nobody's paying attention to them. And then you kind of get them, and all of a sudden 5, 6, 7 years later, you're like, you're clicking. It's so good. It's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, we've all watched people on a run. And it's the best. And I'm like, enjoy the ride because it's the greatest. But what I found so interesting about Josh was it didn't change who he was. No matter how long or how successful the OC became, he was always Josh.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know, you have much better experience than I do. I mean, I saw him over a number of seasons, but I always thought like he's just fun loving. He just gets it. He understands. There's something he's tapped into that people are responding to.
Yeah.
And they need and they want to see in their day.
And it's all going to shit now. You should see him. No,
look at you two. I mean, you're in a studio talking to me. It's great.
Josh is next. He's coming in.
I was here.
No. Couple weeks. But you also ended up, he said that he wished, or you ended up on Chuck, and that he says, I wished we had him on Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Trifecta.
I would have loved to have been on Gossip Girl. Right. No, so then somebody called and said, okay, they want you on Chuck versus the DeLorean. And I'm like, okay. And I remember going in for the fitting, and there was like this big, unattractive leather jacket because I was supposed to play, I guess, basically some douchebag. And I was like, what is this, typecasting? But I remember like it was just really funny. And then I'm slow on the uptake. I'm like, this is another Josh show. It's like, not that smart.
So when you get the call from your manager, your agent, you're like, you got this role, and it doesn't always click because things are happening behind the scenes.
Right. You're always kind of like, well, who's the writer? Who's the director?
Right.
Like, who do I know?
How did I get this role?
Right. Or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's like, I had a tendency to get hired by the same people. Mm-hmm. So like Neil Moritz, for example, was producing Prom Night. Mm-hmm. And I was on Prom Night. That's where I met Idris Elba. And then literally we were leaving a night shoot at like 5:30 in the morning. He goes, where are you going? I go, I'm going home. And he goes, no, you're not. You're going a mile away. I'm doing another movie called Maid of Honor.
Oh, wow.
With Patrick Dempsey. And there's something I need you to do.
Oh, my gosh.
And I literally go over there. I go, hi, I'm Craig, and I'm supposed to be here.
Oh, my God.
And they go, yep, come here. And they just took me they took me to wardrobe, took me to makeup, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm in the back of a limo now negotiating a prenup.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? And so that's how my work kind of happened.
Right.
I was just a guy they trusted.
You're the go-to.
Because you were operating without ego?
I don't know. I just enjoyed it, and I looked at it as icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like I had a job and I was making good money.
Yeah.
And this was something I love acting. Like I love the art of it.
Right.
The other, I mean, there are parts of it that can get tiring and a little annoying, and there's politics involved. But the actual moment, I remember when I did a movie and I was amazed that the number one, like the title character, sat in on my close-ups. And I thought, oh my God, that's because not everybody did.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, that person loves this.
Yes.
Right. And so you feel those moments. And those are really like the moments that I can still remember now. I don't think I've really done anything in 8 or 9 years because somebody said to me, being Craig at Craig's is a pretty good gig.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So.
Okay, so Rachel, I love my magic spoon. Mm-hmm. I actually did have the birthday cake this morning, and I put like toasted pecans on it. Magic Spoon is the perfect breakfast or snack to have to help maintain a keto lifestyle.
Magic Spoon is not only keto-friendly, but it's also gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free. I honestly miss the good old days of eating cereal in the mornings, so I love that I can share Magic Spoon with Briar, and I feel good knowing that what I'm feeding her is wholesome, beneficial, and not to mention, delicious.
With over 8 unique flavors, such as cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, you won't get bored of feeling good with Magic Spoon. Head to magicspoon.com/theOC to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try the magic for yourself. And be sure to use our promo code, theOC, at checkout to save $5 off your order.
And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/theOC and use the code theOC to save $5 off. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
I want people to question me when they see how efficient I am through TSA, removing my laptop, headphones, and snacks galore. I want them to wonder how I did it without holding the lineup. And when I settle in to watch my favorite movie in my seat, I want them to gasp at how I created my own in-flight entertainment center in seconds, all thanks to my base carry-on. Is that right?
Do tell.
I love to pack efficiently and travel light, and I also like to not check any baggage on the flight. So between my weekender bag and the base carry-on, I'm always set for quick trips to go to the OC or fly off to Chicago to see CG, and I look good doing it.
Yeah, you do. Base was created by actress Shay Mitchell to make sleek and affordable bags, luggage, and accessories designed to help you travel effortlessly while still looking fashionable. Their luggage comes in multiple sizes and colors, and for shorter trips, the Weekender bag is super functional and even has a place to store your shoes separately. That is my obsession. Anytime I see a bag that has a separate compartment for shoes, but this one is really cute.
Yeah.
I love it, and I fit so much stuff, and I tend to overpack, so... Seal of approval here.
Whether you're packing for a quick trip or looking to breeze through the security line, Base has your personal items covered. And right now, Base is offering our listeners 15% off your first purchase by visiting basetravel.com/OC.
Go to basetravel.com/OC for 15% off your first purchase. That's BEIS travel.com/OC.
So I've been running with that, and now it's kind of growing. We're going to start our second location in Nashville in about a year.
Really?
And then we've spawned off a plant-based non-dairy ice cream called Craig's Vegan.
What, are you vegan, or is someone in
Craig's
your family?
Vegan is a story behind Craig's Vegan, correct?
Yeah. So I think in the restaurant business, the more you lean into different diets, the more people want to come in. Right. And it's just smart business. So let's just say there's one vegan in a group of 6. They're probably going to dictate where you eat. And so I thought if we want a diverse crowd and a diverse clientele, the menu better be diverse. So we leaned in about 9-10 years ago to a vegan section of the menu. And then we were like, oh, God, what are they eating for dessert? And so we just started making a non-dairy ice cream. And then people started taking it to go. And then I was like, wait a second. Maybe this is our Rayo's tomato sauce.
Right.
So we started making it a liter at a time. And now we just got an order for Publix, and they're 1,320 stores.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So it's kind of growing, and it's fun. And so there's somewhere deep inside me, I'm still a young actor at heart, and I still have like that nostalgia to do it. And I would probably do something in the future because there's a real love and a real, for somebody like Josh to put his hand out, that just doesn't happen in LA. I mean, you two have been around long enough. It just is, it's not a normal occurrence.
He's a rare gem, that one, he's, like you said.
Don't tell him this, and can we edit this out? Because this is not good for his ego. But there are people that really do love what they do, and they do love reaching out to people and making it happen. And I just I'll never forget that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he's a good person,
Yeah.
Good
And it was
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
I mean, but look at you. You guys were on there for, how long were you on there?
The 4 years the whole time.
I mean, it's amazing.
But
and,
yeah.
And people still talk about it. And people still come into the restaurant today and they're like, were you on the OC?
No way.
They recognize you.
Oh, no. All the
but
time.
which role?
What, do you remember the general atmosphere of our set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would usually, it's funny because I played a cop a lot. So
Oh.
I was down by the pier.
Right.
I was down by the pier,
Yeah.
a pier lot in Redondo. And then the Chrismukk-huh episode was the first time that I think I was on the sound stages.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was just chaos and fun. And
Chaos and fun.
And I think I remember I sat in Peter's chair during makeup and hair, and someone was like, who's sitting in Peter's chair?
Oh, up at the top?
I guess it was somewhere. I don't know. But I was like, I had known him well enough to kind of give him some grief. So when he walked in the trailer, it was like, we had a lot of fun. And Peter still comes in a lot.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, whenever he's in LA.
Yeah.
He's real.
Well, he lives here.
a great guy.
Yeah. Or
No, he lives in New York.
I think he lives in New York.
he
Doesn't he go back and forth?
they sold their place in New York, and then they had the house in Brentwood for many, many years. But I just saw that they might be moving. So, but yeah. But
you saw?
Well, on TikTok, I follow Catherine Gallagher.
Oh.
She was talking about moving and moving out. So
Okay, can we talk about TikTok?
Okay.
Yes.
So it's fascinating, right? So I just recently started to we've had an Instagram account for the restaurant and for the ice cream, but so TikTok is an interesting thing. I think it started when a bunch of people started coming in that were TikTok stars that I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
But now I get it. It's a fascinating way for people to express their talent without having to ask for permission.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of like, you're a young actress, right? You need to go in and have somebody ask you to audition, and you have to ask for permission to go in and show them how good you are. Whereas TikTok, people just do their thing, and it either lands or it doesn't.
Right.
So I think it's kind of interesting. It's kind of turning it on its head.
Yeah.
But it's also the way a lot of people get their information. So I kind of learned that And I was thinking for the ice cream and for the restaurant, how do we talk to a younger demographic?
Mm-hmm.
And so we started doing some TikTok stuff. And I'm just
Are you dancing?
No dancing. So just trying to figure out, like, you just try to kind of navigate your way and just make sure that, like, it's kind of age appropriate. It's still fun. It's still attention getting, without doing anything that's like people are rolling their eyes.
Well, I think there's something to it too, because my daughter has a much bigger following than I do, but there's a skill to the editing, like the style of editing and how quick and what you actually write on the actual image.
There is, and then there's like trending sounds, and you've got to grab them at the trend. But what I think lands the most is just organic.
Right.
Like just when you do you and something clicks with people and they're like, that's original, that's amazing.
I have yet to join TikTok. I feel like everyone has to, or no.
Yeah, you should do it for your podcast.
You could put your toe in and
I think the
see
podcast has one. I don't do it though.
Oh. Yeah. Well, I always, when I started this podcast, I first started with imitating the scenes, and I did the "Who are you?" Whoever you want me to be.
Ben.
And I was like, and I thought, I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to continue to do all these little.
Yeah, what happened?
I got lazy, I guess. But I was like, I can't even remember how I did it.
Adding Rachel would be a really good boost. That would be smart.
Right.
Like, I understand that.
So what is your, if people wanted to see your TikTok, and what do you want to tell us? What your handle is?
So on Instagram, it's Craig's LA.
Yeah.
The vegan ice cream is obviously at Craig's Vegan. And then the TikTok handle is Craig's LA as well. Yeah.
Craig's LA.
Do you have a lot of different flavors with this vegan ice cream?
Yeah. So we kind of went classic. We have vanilla, because I figured if you can make a really good vanilla vegan ice cream, you kind of hit a home run.
If people are trying to take ice cream to go, like rush it home, that's good.
Yeah. So look, ice cream is emotional, right? It's about an emotional satisfaction. We all eat ice cream when we're either really happy or we're really sad, right?
All the time.
So we do it for an emotional, like, satisfaction. And if you don't get that emotional satisfaction, then it's just not good. So that's kind of the way we judge the ice cream, right? Just because it's plant-based doesn't mean it can't be great ice cream.
Mm.
So we kind of went classic: vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, mint chip, peanut butter chocolate chip. Mm. And then we did a coffee flavor with an influencer, Emma Chamberlain. Mm. And then we have a sundae at the restaurant that makes a lot of noise, and it's got a sparkler in it, and it's a Tinks sundae. And Tinks is also somebody that I met during COVID who had an unbelievable following on social media. And she's really found a niche. She's really smart. She's really bright, and she gives a lot of women advice that they find really helpful. So there's a perfect example of somebody that's a Stanford-educated girl who is really bright and found her niche giving people advice via TikTok and Instagram. So
smart.
And then we've got 5 or 6 other flavors in the works. So it's interesting. It started at Bristol, Gelson's, Mother's, now a little bit in Whole Foods. And then we're spreading to the Northwest at Met Markets, and now we're in Central Markets in Texas.
That's huge.
And then, we got a huge order from Publix. So
that is so excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. Going to look when I go to Gelson's.
Well, I'll have to send you some too.
Well, thank you.
We
need to go to Craig's. We have not
been
to the restaurant.
Sorry, I've never been.
No, we haven't been. Sorry.
I know.
I'm getting out of here.
I was teasing Josh. I was like, after this interview, I'm going to have a table named after me, the Bilson booth.
That sounds...
It doesn't
suspect.
Well, that's me. That's me, Craig, in a nutshell.
I kind of love it.
Yep.
But you better bring Josh in. Like, I haven't seen him in a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll come.
I'd love it.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh my God, this brings back such nostalgia. Like, I can't even imagine what it does, the memories that it brings back and the moments.
It's so much fun, and especially season 4, and Rachel hasn't really ever seen it. So
the show, I'm watching it for the first time, and just, especially this season, I'm like, what is this show?
What is going on?
But you at the bar, like, you're reading the erotic novel.
Yeah.
Do you remember sitting there and like Peter comes up, you're like, oh, page 47.
Right.
It's like,
but even you interview Sandy in this episode, and your delivery is right there. But then when you're like, hey man, the dragon lady doesn't want you hanging around. Like, I did not put 2 and 2 together. I didn't see totally different characters.
Yeah.
It was so
look at you.
Kudos.
But you can tell that I am very well aware of who they're focusing on. Right. So just deliver it and get out of the way. Just like, it's not about you.
Right.
And there's an art to that.
There is. I've always said there's a difference between being this number one on the call sheet or even one of the series regulars to being a guest, which is like a guest at the party to service these main storyline characters.
Yeah, I remember doing a movie, was a Screen Gems movie, and somebody was sitting in the makeup chair. Somebody wanted to cut his hair, and he was giving them a really hard time about it. And the makeup artist looked at him, said, "I'll be back in a second," and walked out the door. And I leaned over and I go, "You're about to get fired."
Yeah.
Like, you're giving her a really hard time.
Uh-huh.
She's just here to do what the director wants.
Right.
You're a guest. Just say yes.
Yeah.
And she came back and he just said, "You know what? Hey, sorry, I'll do whatever you want." And she was like, you just see her body relax.
Good for
It's
you.
like, remember, you're a guest.
Yeah.
And that poor guy was about to get fired. And I was like, I'm nobody, but I just can't watch that happen. That's a train wreck about to happen.
Right. No, it is.
Because there's literally 10,000 other guys that you could shave my head. Go for it.
100%.
Right? Because everybody's just trying to get a break.
Or say no if you don't want to, there's certain things that are required. Yeah.
Well, how many actors have always said, "Can you ride a horse?" It's like, yeah, I can ride a horse.
course.
And then you get the role and it's like, I can't ride a horse.
Oh, yeah.
Fencing? Yeah, no problem.
Right?
Yeah.
How many times did you lie early in your career?
Tumbling.
Oh my God, I got a German commercial, a Kinder commercial where I had to speak German.
You're like, yeah, I can speak German.
Never in my life.
Kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
My whole family's
There
German.
was a lot of huss. Like I was, really practicing and I got away with it somehow.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Craig, congratulations on all your success. Thank you so much for bringing a lot of joy to Josh, for being here and us as well.
I love it. That doesn't even get old. I mean, it's amazing. And I never saw myself as a guy that would have a restaurant and this is a treat. So
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. Can't wait to try the ice cream and come to the restaurant.
I love it. I can't wait to see you.
Yes.
We're
Thanks
coming
for having
in
me.
soon.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you so much.
All right. Josh, thank you.
Craig Susser, ladies and gentlemen.
Now let's head into our interview with JJ and John. Listeners, please note we had some audio and video issues with JJ, so please bear with us.
Power up for springtime with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. Get nutritious, chef-prepared meals delivered straight to your door, leaving you time and energy to tackle everything on your to-do list. I love to cook healthy meals for myself and Adam, but not every night. I really don't want to mess up the kitchen every single night.
Yeah.
It is so awesome to have Factor meals in the fridge, ready to go, and we picked the low-carb meals to fit our lifestyle.
Factor has delicious, flavor-packed meals to help you live to the fullest. Choose from keto, vegan plus veggie, calorie smart, and protein plus options on the menu each week. Prepared by chefs and approved by dietitians, each meal has all of the ingredients you need to feel satisfied all day long. Plus, replenish your snack supply or smoothies with an assortment of 45 plus add-ons. I just love how easy it is. And Briar really loved the smoothies.
Mm-hmm.
So that really makes my morning easy. Also, not so much cleanup, because that is my least favorite thing of cooking.
Get Factor and enjoy clean eating without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess.
Head to factormeals.com/OC50 and use code OC50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code OC50 at factormeals.com/OC50 to get 50% off your first box.
Since I tried Blissy's silk pillowcase, I can't even tell you how much better I'm sleeping. And there's just something so luxurious about a good quality silk fabric to pamper my skin and my hair.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, silk is what's best for your hair and skin. It reduces frizz, tangles, and prevents breakage. That's because it keeps the moisture in your hair and keeps your skincare products and natural moisture on your skin, while cotton literally absorbs it off of your face. Now, Briar and I, luckily I have two because they come as a set, because she was going to steal it from me. I actually was willingly going to give it to her because the knots in her hair are such a challenge.
Yeah.
And guess what? Now
it's helped.
Yes.
I love that. There are a lot of dupes out there, which I think I had and didn't work, that claim satin can be an alternative to silk. That's exactly what I had. But that is not the case. Satin is made from synthetic fibers like polyester, while silk is a luxurious all-natural fiber. Silk is more breathable, moisture-wicking, and gentle.
Blissy silk pillowcases are the best ones on the market. They have a ton of different prints and colors, and they make great gifts because there's an option for literally anyone. Men love them too. They have over 1.5 million raving fans, and you could be next. Try now, risk-free for 60 nights at blissy.com/theOC and get an additional 30% off.
That's BLISSY.com/theOC and use code THEOC to get an additional 30% off. You'll wake up feeling better than ever.
Get better sleep now with Blissy and use code THEOC to get an additional 30% off at blissy.com/theOC.
Oh my gosh, I love this episode. I really love it. I love it. And so today's guests are two of our wonderful writers and producers, J.J. Philbin and John Stephens. J.J. is known for some of your favorite shows like New Girl, Single Parents, and of course The OC. John Stephens is known for The OC, Gilmore Girls, Gossip Girl, and Gotham. Thank you both for being here.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. It's super fun.
Yes, we have been waiting all 4 seasons to finally get you guys on, and we're so happy you're here, and for this episode in particular, because it's so fun.
So what was it like rewatching this for you both?
A drug trip. It was a drug trip, but like in a good way, not like the scary kind. I was just kind of like, whoa, where you remember all like that. All of this meant so much to us, and like, but you can't quite place why anything is happening. Like, I know we loved writing this episode. I do remember that. Yeah. We had a really good time, and I think we cared about it a lot too. Because I feel like for us, I feel like the intention was to try to like heal Ryan in some way, right?
Yeah.
Am I making that up?
Yeah. No, totally. I was suddenly having a flash, though, as you were saying that about, I think this is the only episode where I actually have a memory of us physically writing it. Because I think it was like during a Thanksgiving.
Oh, really?
And I think your parents were staying at the beach, and we went out to hang out with them, and we wrote part of it sitting on the beach. And I have this memory of Regis shirtless throwing a football on the beach as we're writing this. And he's going, is it funny? Is it funny? And we're going, yeah, it's funny. So I had a flash.
Oh my gosh.
If you recall that, JJ, or not.
Oh my God, I totally forgot. I remember that, but I didn't know that this was what we were writing.
That is what we were writing.
Is amazing. Yeah.
I would imagine Josh has said that, going into season 4 and knowing that the show was coming to an end, that it felt like, there was a little bit of freedom in just like, let's just go for it. Let's write some stories for our characters and have the most enjoyable time, because I remember it so fondly. And this episode, not only is it clearly fun to watch, and I've watched it 3 times in the past 3 weeks, just referring, because I loved it so much, but I remember being so excited to come to set and play the roles and or play the scenes, because they were so much fun. Is it more difficult to write a story like this? That like, what if if this hadn't happened, if Ryan hadn't come to Orange County, that type of storyline? Is it more difficult, or is there some freedom in not having to have such? You don't have to really
follow any specific.
Right. You don't have to follow, like, there's some freedom in the fantasy of it all, right?
Yeah, no, it was very much like 4 seasons in, you feel like especially on a fully serialized show, the weight of all these things you have to service every single episode, and not trying to break anything that you've set up so far. So when you do a what if, you can kind of throw a lot of that out the window.
Right.
And I feel like what you said about, we said we were going to have fun in season 4. I think we set out to do that. And I feel like this is like even more than that, because we were not bound by everything we'd been playing for 4 years,
Right.
So.
Yeah, we really got to leave everything behind. Like the season 3 was so heavy, and like we were so ready to just have fun with these characters that we loved so much. And this episode, especially, we got to just really like it was the sky's the limit, because it was whatever we wanted. We weren't bound by anything that we had written yet, but we got to really ask ourselves, like, what would have happened to these characters had Ryan not shown up, and have the most fun with that we could.
It's so detailed, and there's so many things in it. Do you want to read the synopsis? So let's get into
the synopsis. Yeah, Ryan and Taylor both fall off of a ladder and are transported to an alternate universe where we see what life would have really been like if Ryan Atwood never came to Newport and Summer only said bitch.
None of those bitches were written in the script. Rachel ad-libbed every single one.
Oh my gosh.
Strong choice.
Yeah, I was really like watching this back and I couldn't believe I was also questioning like this day and age, could Chris Pratt and I really play into that like, oh no, bitch, like that whole tone? Like if you could actually do that now.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I think there are a number of things in the episode that you would not do now.
I mean, you really could feel 2006.
We've been noticing quite a bit of that. Yeah, there's some there's gay jokes and there's
there's broken English given to like the housekeeper. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I let JJ write that.
That's funny.
I said, I'm putting it in. I don't care what anybody says.
But my favorite instance of you saying bitch, Rachel, was, and I had completely forgotten about it. I think you're in the Harbor Club and you're saying goodbye to Chris Pratt and you said, see you later, bitch. And you walk around the trophy case on either side and then you greet him again as if you've never seen him. Like, hey, bitch. It was really funny.
Oh my God.
It was so sad.
Do you all remember that part was originally, or at least this is what I remember, that you guys tried to get Chris Carmack and he was just unavailable. So
that's right.
Is that for Chris Pratt's part?
Yeah, for that. And so you ended up using Che.
You mean to be Che?
Yeah, to be Luke. He would have been Luke, but then he was unavailable.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I have a memory of that. That sounds familiar to me, yeah.
I did not know that. That's new information. Or maybe I did know it at one point, but
I just remember shooting and because it seemed like it was one of those things that it would be, of course, this is what's happened with Luke and da-da-da. And remember hearing that they wanted Luke or Chris Carmack and he was unavailable. And I was like, unavailable or won't come back? No.
I know. That's why Autumn had to do like that 5-minute backstory of
exposition.
How Chris Pratt ended up in Newport because Ryan had taken his last
the spot at Harbor.
Well, and how fun is it they used to use?
That was a real reach.
I think Autumn sold it.
Well,
she committed.
Isn't it? And we talk about how exposition is difficult.
She made it work.
Yeah, we talk about exposition being difficult for actors and sometimes in television. It's necessary. You've got to get that information out to the audience. But to have a character, first of all, Autumn being so wonderful, but then have a character like Taylor, and it's rooted in the characterization to explain like this could happen and this is the explanation. Okay, and it's like now with everything everywhere all at once. That exposure, it's like you guys were doing that. Anything can happen in these worlds, right?
He ripped us off. They ripped us off.
I know, right?
Well, I mean, I feel like we were the original Stranger Things, clearly. This episode in particular.
Right. But when the episode starts and he's up there on the roof, this letter from Marissa shows up. And just when he was kind of moving into this idea of being okay with Taylor, and then when Taylor shows up, it's like that letter instantly put him into, I think that was the beginning of this, he's not healed and it triggered something in him and it wasn't clear if he read it or not. So when they wake up in this world, I mean, and the music changes and it's almost like a Danny Elfman type music. I mean, the details in the episode are just so wonderful.
Like watching that at the beginning and he pulls that letter out of his pocket. I'm like, when was the last time I saw a physical letter on television?
Right.
Like that was, I had to like take a moment to look at it going, oh, that's an actual thing you used to do.
Oh, yeah.
But it was, I miss having letters because they're, when he got to go to the lifeguard stand and read it, you're like, that's all. Like, you got to carry that around for an entire episode. Like, we don't get to do that story anymore.
Right.
We call that an objective correlative, JJ. Sorry, that's an old joke.
Also, the George Foreman grill reference really puts us in a
because
do those still exist?
Because he likes lean meat, obviously. But when Ryan goes to his pool house and it's all weights, and now here's when Kirsten shows up, she's like, "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" I'm watching Kelly. She is such a proficient actress because instantly we see her as Kirsten, but that's not the Kirsten we know. She really is, I guess this guy calls her a dragon lady, when she's like, what are you doing in my house? Shoo, get out of here. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, every scene, I'm like, what's going on? And now watching everyone's performance of how, and then we cut to Julie, So Kirsten's mean. She's a bitch. And then we cut to Julie being philanthropic and I help people, which is this. She finds out later from Sandy when he's like, that means the same thing, honey. And she goes, oh, well, you learn something new every day. But so you think that everybody's kind of the opposite already. Of course, Julie ends up being just as bad, if not worse. She didn't get to go on that arc, right? Mm-hmm. And Kirsten's now this. So I would love to kind of explore how Kirsten and Jimmy ended up together.
I mean, I think our logic.
Yeah.
Well, if you think
it was like by Ryan showing up, right? Like he had sort of, because Kirsten and Jimmy had that moment in the pilot, right? Where there was like a little bit of like sexual tension between them. But then I think with Ryan's arrival kind of like help to heal the family and like make them their strongest version of the marriage. But had he not come, isn't that sort of what we were doing?
I think that's some of it. I think there was also some pretty hardcore reverse engineering of like what would be funny couples to put together, and then trying to figure out a way to like, okay, Julie and Sandy are going to be together. And then once we knew that, because that would be a funny pairing, and then we'll work backwards and kind of come up with a way to make that happen.
Really? So, because I actually think so. If you remember when Marissa was going to Tijuana, Julie and Jimmy were getting divorced, but Jimmy, because Kirsten she still had her feelings for him. She was bailing him out. When Marissa dies, she gets closer to Jimmy. And she pulls away from Sandy somehow and bails him out, and they become so connected. And then somehow Sandy makes his way, because we found that he could go off with Dr. Griffiths, remember, and make that hospital. And he became a Republican, and he he goes into politics with Schwarzenegger. And somehow but I was like, how did he make his way to Julie Cooper? Like, what is like the story? I was just trying to speculate how all of that happened, but because I could see Jimmy and Kirsten getting together, but I wasn't quite sure how Julie and
I think it might have been a little bit of a revenge thing for Sandy too.
Good answer.
Because how mean were Jimmy and Kirsten talking about Seth? They were like, do you remember that? They're like,
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he must be out stalking that summer girl and Chrismukk-huh. Like, it's an interesting thing because this isn't the Chrismukk-huh that we would have remembered, right? Like, because Chrismukk-huh isn't as wonderful of a holiday as it is in the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, it was like fancy and cold, and she had like a big party that like it was like a cold cocktail party in this alternate universe because Ryan wasn't there to make it the warm Chrismukk-huh that we knew.
Right. I did feel like a lot of people were being really mean to each other in the episode, like in a way that I felt like we enjoyed as we were writing it.
Oh my gosh. I know. True. What about like Taylor's mom? Like when adults were mean in the show,
we painted with kind of a broad brush with that one.
Real asshole.
Yeah, I know.
But I feel like she's always like that.
She's fat.
Yeah, like oh my god,
Taylor's.
She's so mean about that guy's butt.
Maybe so mean about that guy's butt. That poor guy.
We could have added a little nuance, looking back, just a little.
Well, I think it got cut out, lost in the editing.
That's right. We wrote it. We definitely wrote it. They just didn't put it right.
What is Chino Ryan? If like, so this Ryan is he's not of this world, the one that's with us, but Chino Ryan is probably in jail with Sheree?
Chino Ryan.
Because he would be like Taylor, like what is
Ryan who never came?
The Ryan that never came, like where is he?
Wait, that Sandy could like save his soul. What became of that?
Melinda, that's a deep question. I've never considered that.
I mean, she's really going there. We're doing a deep dive, guys.
Well,
that's
sort of what the probably got a podcast.
But when we see, so when Ryan goes to find Seth, he's at the comic book store.
Yeah.
And the Ward twins are teasing him. I could just see Adam's just doing that full like he's like, give me my wallet.
Adam's like so big in these scenes, like on purpose. He's like, fine guys.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. But those kids are like,
true.
It's like press conference? Yeah, press conference. And it's so funny. Sorry, all the little things that I laugh about. But Seth is staring at Summer, and of course Ryan assumes that he's marrying her.
Right.
But he was like, oh, it turns into this. And we find out that he actually did go to Brown. So that makes me think, so if he went to Brown, that means that he never did his graphic novel, that he didn't get to meet George Lucas. He didn't get to do all of that with Michael Cassidy or Zach. And
you guys, does Zach not exist?
He's never born in this world.
Ooh, yeah.
Man.
There's so many things that
we've wiped him.
Yeah, so many questions.
I know, right?
I just think, but it's so fun, the whole thing. And just being able to do, like you were saying, you know, just like no constraints and just going for it. I feel like you guys really just, like you said, had so much fun.
Well, but it's also very serious. Like, what would happen if this guy hadn't shown up? Because, I mean, we keep talking about the ice lady, that Kirsten was this ice lady, and that is the person she was going to become. And Sandy was going to, you know, somehow fall into this political thing because we saw that he could do that. And the fact that I think what's fascinating is that Caitlin is a prodigy. Somehow she all of a sudden went to Berkeley at 15.
I know. Life's been pretty good for her, actually.
Right?
Ryan kind of like derailed her by coming to Newport.
Right? Like maybe she got more love because Jimmy stayed in town. But then Johnny Harper is alive because you guys had that poster on the wall of Johnny Harper.
I didn't catch that.
Because like, see Johnny Harper.
Did you catch that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did see that.
And then and it's funny because
so he would have been alive.
Wow.
So
it's a mixed bag, you're saying.
This scene opens on this poster of Johnny Harper, and then it cuts to Ryan walking. But when Ryan and Taylor finally come back together, and they're like, "Okay," she finally gives that explanation of like, "Okay, this is a parallel world, and this is what we've got to do." And you know, and that's when you guys show up and the whole bitch thing. But then Taylor's like, "I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out." Yeah. And she follows Che. I guess we live in the Roberts mansion. Maybe it was supposed to look like it wasn't that, but we live in the Roberts mansion.
It looks like the Roberts mansion.
Yeah. And Julie and Sandy are like, she's like, I have no idea how you could handle living with him or living with her all those years. And then she beckons in Che for some of the most graphic kissing, spanking thing I've ever seen.
I know.
Was that written?
Spanking.
Like that?
It was so
You guys really went Dom and Sub.
No, that wasn't in the script, though, was it?
John asked for spanking.
I don't.
Melinda, was that in the script? I don't have any memory of that.
Yeah.
Well, that was
I think
my
that might have been
question.
an Ian Toynton of it all. Was it?
Oh.
You know what? I literally thought, was it written that they're having some kind of aggressive makeout session and that maybe Chris and I said, let's do this? I don't know.
I think so.
It's kind of
We choose that.
Yeah, we choose that option.
I don't know. I'm still going with like there was definitely a Dom and Sub like theme, and that was what you were sticking with.
It was kind of graphic and intense. And then Mima's just next door with the door open.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? That summer, what is Taylor keeps saying hajoinks? What is that word?
Yeah.
Do you know? Is it a made up word?
Okay, how do I explain this? I think back in when we'd be pitching out stories, we would go like, and then Summer turns the corner and she sees Seth making out another girl, hajoinks! And it was like our like shorthand for like, this is a moment. Oh my God. And then it was like we'd worked on the show so long that we started to kind of meld into the characters.
Like, I feel like I remember writing hajoinks like on the whiteboard. You know, at some points, like, well, this is a big moment, just so you don't miss it.
Yeah, we had been pitching out the episode to each other, going like, so then Taylor has a hajoinks moment in the bushes. Then there's a double hajoinks moment. Then she sees Julie and Che, and that's a triple hajoinks. And then it just was in the script, and like nobody took it out.
That's amazing. Because it
was season 4. We'd been writing it
because
too long.
It was an alt-world.
I looked at the subtitles and it kept coming like, oh, joinks. And I was like, what is that word? So I Googled it. Turns out it was the thing. It was a JJ and John Stephens thing.
I love that you Googled it. You're like, what is this word?
I wanted to know.
I'm just surprised it hasn't been picked up. That people haven't like.
Me too. Why is that not a craze? But
Hashtag.
Bring it back. It was very handy in the pitching out of these episodes,
Totally.
Like it was all like kind of divvied out. Hajoinks moments.
Oh my God, so many. And like what you gave like Taylor, everything that they had to do in this episode. And when you intercut with reality and what's actually happening to explain it, because I was getting lost. I was like, wait, how is this? And then I'm like, oh, there actually is an explanation because it's television and that's what we have to do.
So they're not, it's a coma that nothing's wrong. MRIs are fine. They just, even the nurse is like,
But Seth and Taylor are both like, oh, it's an alternate universe.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a great
universe.
scene where he says, look, it's an alternate universe. They have to fix something, or it's a vegetable world.
Oh, his vegetable.
And a
my
vegetable
God.
despot.
In watching it back, yeah. It was so crazy because it was like stuff in the alt universe was like more believable than the moment in the hospital.
Right.
The nurse was like, maybe talk about things that they love and it'll bring them back. And everyone's like, yeah, that lines up. That makes a lot of sense.
That's good medical advice.
I mean, I believe I was with it.
It's usually how you make people better.
Yes, exactly. That's all you do.
But in that like triple joinks, which hajoinks was when Taylor sees the picture of Julie and Marissa. When I watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can just picture the audience going, oh, Marissa, like,
she's
my gosh,
alive.
she's alive. It was just the structure of the script was so awesome.
Do you guys remember if she was maybe going to be alive, but Misha wouldn't come back for the episode?
That's a great question.
Oh, I could be wrong, but I think that we thought that Caitlin turning the corner was actually like the choice to kind of like, not do what you were expecting, because I think the point was Marissa wouldn't have lived, right? That was sort of what we were going for, was that like Ryan gave her those 3 more years. And so had it been Marissa, I think the
episode would have gone somewhere else.
It would have said,
he never would have returned from the alternate universe.
Yeah, we wanted to like free him up to have,
that makes way more sense.
At the diner where he's like, oh my gosh, and in this world, Seth and Summer, blah blah blah, and she's like, no. Marissa's alive in this world. He instantly, and she's coming in at the airport, and he instantly goes, excuse me, I've got to go. And she's like, what? You would actually stay? So his mind is like, I will stay. And she's like, but Ryan, Marissa won't even know you. And he's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he'd stay to have her alive.
He would stay just to see her, and that's that hold. And she's crushed. Taylor's so crushed. She's like, I get it. You got to go.
Yeah, but you have to understand that, I guess. But then the choice that she did die 3 years prior to an overdose in Tijuana. I mean, you guys, I was sobbing. I'm not going to lie. I was in my bed last night. My kid was sleeping next to me. I'm watching it on the computer in headphones, just sobbing. Like, I have a lot of emotional issues, clearly.
Which part were you sobbing? Just the whole thing?
The whole Marissa storyline, that she was going to be alive and then she wasn't. I was just like, oh, I can't handle it.
It had been so long since I watched it. I think my memory had gotten so poor. When you see like the sweatshirt coming along, for a moment I thought it actually might be Misha.
Yeah.
And like I completely like blacked out what it was.
You both were like, oh, she's alive.
Holy shit. Can't believe this.
I know, we remembered like thong and hajoinks.
Yeah, you're like, I remember the thong bit and the hajoinks.
The thong bit.
The thong.
Yeah, that's what stayed with us.
But Rachel, because I was so interested to see your reaction to this episode, because it's one of my favorites, and since you hadn't seen it before, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the highs and lows of like the ridiculousness of Summer and Che and that whole Ice Baby, by the way, probably like
Ice Baby. So funny.
Oh my God, you guys! I mean, just putting Vanilla Ice in there for us to rap was.
But I feel like we cut out one of your best bits, Rachel. I feel like JJ, remind me, was there a moment where like Rachel comes into the party at the end with Che and she's like, "Who let the dogs out?"
Oh my God!
I feel like we cut that out.
Yes,
for some reason.
I'm sure it got cut out of our
you
will,
guys,
because
I fully you saying that just like jogged something in my memory of fully and like doing the dog like who like
Yeah,
fully
you
committed.
so hard.
Oh,
This must have been where you couldn't keep a straight face with Chris Pratt.
I mean, I think that was always with Chris Pratt. I think I had too much fun. Like, clearly this this whole universe, and oh my God, I totally fully remember that.
We need to find the footage of Who Let the Dogs Out. America deserves
this. I do, and then if I'm wrong, and then I've had a dream or something.
No, because I remember it too. I very vividly remember it. Yeah.
Oh dear.
So one of my favorite scenes is when Ryan shows up in Seth's bedroom, and he says. He just says, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. I'm in an alternate universe. And he goes, I knew this would always happen. Like, accepts it just like that. I was like, there are moments where I'm like, I just love this show. I love it. But I'm going to explain to you how to get Summer. And so they go on this mission in this party, and Taylor's telling Kirsten that Sandy's going on about her and tells Sandy that she's going on about him. And the scene where Ryan goes up to Julie and says something about a thong, and she goes,
"Oh my God, the acronym!
The homeless of Newport.
The acronym." She's like, "No, it's an acronym."
We liked acronyms. I think we did that move a few times, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wasn't there something Paul from George?
The acronyms were
we definitely went to that well more than once.
It was kind of coming up. It was so prevalent, but now it's just like everything's an acronym. You guys are ahead of your time. I mean, this show did create a lot of pop culture.
Again, trailblazer.
Yeah, exactly.
Hajoinks.
Yeah.
It did raise the question. I was asking JJ this the other night.
Hajoinks sweeping the nation.
Of how many thong jokes we could squeeze into one episode. And, I think we did our best.
There's a lot of Easter eggs.
You can tell the parts where John and I are like making ourselves laugh a little too hard.
Oh my God.
Kind of like maybe one or two thong references was enough. Maybe Kirsten and her ham. Again, one or two would have been great.
Could you imagine, though?
Her Virginia ham, right?
Why was she so obsessed with the ham? Is that a Hajoinks, too?
There really is no rationale for that at all.
Us laugh. But in both universes, she was obsessed with ham.
In all universes. We thought it was super funny. And then we watched it, and we were going, nobody else in the world is going to think this is funny. So we kept all the references in.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, Seth is so pathetic. He's like that crying into his pillow, I hate my life kind of guy. I mean, it's so interesting to see these characters. It's just fun to play, to see how different everyone is. Some people, like Julie, pretty much remained the same, except she didn't get that she didn't become vulnerable because she didn't know loss. She just remained a gold digger. And but then then we have this amazing party scene where all of a sudden, the first thing that happens is Taylor confronting her mother, this terrified teenager who cannot talk to her mom. But when she finally says, "You bitch," and all she had to do was say, "You bitch," to go home. That's all. That's all she had to do is get that courage.
I know.
Right?
I love that her emotional epiphany is calling her mom a bitch.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, if that's all we have to do,
it really gets you.
Well, right? Yes. It wasn't anything more than that. I've seen some chat or message boards or chat boards or people that, you can go back and actually see some of what people were talking about back then. And they're like, so she had to just say bitch? And I was like, yeah, that's all she had to do because she would never do that. She's terrified of her mom. Yeah. I think it's wonderful. Yeah. But then that's when everybody kind of comes.
I'm glad we gave her something that she had to do, just because she was so like into what Ryan needed to accomplish, and then I was glad she had like in watching it. I was glad that she could like accomplish something.
But then the way we get her back into the real world is she just walks into the kitchen.
I know.
So
it was no like a fuzzy thing. She's just like, I gotta go, and she
walks out
as if she's going to get a Perrier.
So you guys, I remember this on set, that it was a big discussion of how does she disappear? And Autumn was really uncomfortable. Like everyone was literally like it was a collective team effort. Like, how do we do this? What do you think? She was like, I don't know. Let's try it this way. This feels really odd. And she literally just came up with, I'm just going to back away and walk out. And Ian would say, cut. And she'd be like, how was that? That feels so weird. So
that's so funny.
It was funny. But it's so funny because just when Ryan says, when they say, okay, we need an explanation. Specifically after Jimmy says, in my own bathroom, Julie. And that whole revelation, I laughed out loud when he says, well, her thong was in his mouth. And you go, shut up. I just laughed out loud.
I just want a show of like Summer in this alt universe vibe.
So funny. Oh, and when Seth was saying actually like I like the show The Valley and Plastic Horses.
Plastic Horses.
I mean, the whole thing, and she's like, "You're never gonna believe this." But I was looking forward to Taylor's explanation of how she's gonna just with her magical use of words, her verbiage is going to come out and explain it all. And Ryan's like, Seth and Summer, what are you doing? You should be with her. And he does this like, and they're like, what'd she call him? The street urchin needs to go to jail.
Street urchin.
So it didn't really work so far, right? Because he goes to jail.
Or did it?
Yeah. we had to call it back to, the idea was, I do remember this, to call it back to the pilot of Sandy pulling him out of jail.
Yeah.
Right.
That was where he was going to come back. So
he's still Sandy.
We wanted to bring
there.
it full circle.
Full circle.
But he says a lot of that made sense. And he explains that, everybody got stuck with Marissa, and that can happen. I mean, I've had some firsthand experience where something like that can happen, where it breaks, a death can really affect people like that. But what's interesting is that's when Ryan says, oh, I have to go do something. And we know he goes to read the letter.
Yeah. In the real world, Kirsten discovers the letter and she puts it together. She's like, oh, this is what's going on. Right? Isn't that what puts it together for Kirsten as well?
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the point I was trying to make when Sandy was talking to him, he says it made a lot of sense, and we all got stuck. Do you want to come for dinner? So he didn't actually fix that because he wasn't there to fix them. He now goes to the lifeguard tower and he's there to read the story or read the letter and say goodbye.
Yeah, he thought he was there to fix them, but he was really there to fix himself.
Right.
That's what it
We are
came
just
down to.
Hitting all the notes.
But back in the real world, when they go to find, I love this scene where they go to find
Veronica. Going through security on her way to Cabo.
Yeah, and Julie just walks up in the security line.
And she's got like a 16-year-old on her arm.
Yeah.
Did you see how young the guy was?
Oh, yeah. He was a child.
Shocking.
I love that she's exactly the same in both worlds because she's really the evil villain.
Yes.
Yeah, she is exactly the same.
unchangeable.
And also, Summer went with them to go get Veronica, but cleverly, because I'm sure I was
shooting
jumper. Something else at the time. You're like, Summer's outside with the car. When you went to get her. I noticed that. I was like, oh, I bet that's what happened there.
I actually say, or Julie says that. There's Summer's
I know you did.
Oh my gosh. Veronica's response to Taylor being awake is like, and she's walking?
Oh, yeah.
That was funny.
She's a piece of work.
Back to the mother of the year.
But Taylor's okay with it. When Julie and Kirsten are like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. I'm good. No problem. So she did heal herself.
She healed herself in the world too. So yes, JJ, you're right. I love that you gave Taylor that arc as well.
Right.
It's not only about Ryan.
It's not just about the men.
Right?
Yeah.
If only we could all go to the alt universe to heal ourselves.
I mean, seriously, you guys, can you just send me there just for a few hours? I have some work to do.
Someone push Rachel off a ladder, to wake her up in a while.
Give me a George
Surround her with things
first.
she loves.
Yes. Please do. I am all for it.
I think that would. If I woke up in a different universe.
Cures all people of their comas.
If we all woke up in different universes, I think it would make us grateful for what we have right here. Attitude of gratitude, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you ever think about this, about having Ryan read it, or you didn't want the letter to have anything more than just simply what was said, right?
Yeah, I don't think we ever. I'm sure that we discussed actually Ryan reading it out loud or hearing it, but I felt like it was always going to undersell actually letting us imagine what was actually written in the letter. So
right,
the cover of Into Dust. As soon as that starts playing, that's when I really lost it. I was like, you guys, This is not okay. And it was by Ashtar Command. Is that
Ashtar
right?
Command.
Ashtar
And you
Command.
also had a different California at the top.
Yes.
There were so many details.
Yeah, that was very clever.
I know. Was that like alt-world
Yes.
California?
Alt-world California.
Yeah.
When you see Ryan leave the party to when everyone's surrounding his bed, it's just a wonderful arc. And I just love this episode.
Doesn't Taylor get into the bed with him?
Does she?
She like lays down next to him or something. I think it's like, oh, now he's been holding her off throughout the whole episode. Like he didn't want to invite her to Chrismukk-huh, but they had this experience together and now they can date.
I did notice, she sits next to him and you see his arm is around her, like as we pull away at the very end. So that was like symbolizing him accepting.
Yeah. I love that in the alt world, she can't help but keep jabbing him about
Not dating her.
Yeah, it would be really great if we were doing it with someone you were dating, right? Okay, sorry. Are you okay? No, my heart hurts, Ryan. My heart. Like
I was remembering too,
consistent.
in a later episode, she gives him a scrapbook with their hospital bracelets side by side, which is kind of sweet and creepy at the same time.
Oh my God, she kept it. She like snips it while he's sleeping. California was covered in the alt universe by Mates of State.
Mates of State.
Yes.
Hey, John, you directed an episode.
Sure did.
Another one of our collaborations.
The French Connection
right?
coming up. That's
That was
another
so
very memorable episode.
It is almost as ridiculous as this episode.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the one where I think Taylor had gone away and gotten a quickie marriage and quickie divorce in France and comes back. And now her French husband is, of course, coming through Orange County on book tour, as one hadoes. And he appears on a French talk show that has
talking about his
Japons.
Peaches.
Oh my gosh.
Japon's season of peaches.
Season of Peaches.
Henri
Michel.
That makes this episode look very, very
It
tough.
really does. It's like a Cassavetes movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was the episode, guys. And
Oh my
we're going
God.
to move on to one of the favorite episodes ever.
Yeah, you guys, that was the most fun, I think. Watching it back, the most fun I had for sure.
Yes. Well, you had fun.
Oh yeah. Ice Baby.
It was
bitch.
super fun. It was really interesting because I had not seen it in 20 years, or however many years it's been. And it was kind of revisiting another life. It was fascinating.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought Jade and I were
really
great for discovering Chris Pratt. I think we should deserve some credit for that.
I know.
There's quite a few people who went on to some pretty stellar careers from this show.
They sure did.
Yeah. Okay, we have a voicemail that's going to play, I believe.
Hi, Rachel and Melinda. I'm Matt, a listener from the UK. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the original show and the podcast, so thank you so much for doing it. Really, really enjoy it. The question I have is about the season 4 Chrismukk-huh episode. It's a really fun story with the alternate universe setting. I remember the first time I watched it, it really made me think slightly differently about the previous 3 seasons and how Ryan was able to extend Marissa's life by 3 years. I never thought about the OC as a show about destiny and fate and other such themes, but Ryan constantly fighting to save Marissa did seem to play into the underlying Romeo and Juliet nature of their particular love story. My specific question is, are you aware if there was much discussion by the writers and producers of bringing any characters back for the episode? Jimmy's in the episode, but the flexibility of the alternate universe setting allows pretty much any guest character to come back. Did you have opinions about this at the time? And do you think that doing a podcast has changed your opinion on this? It seems like characters such as Luke, Alex and Lindsay are real fan favourites and are mentioned in a lot of these voicemails. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Well, I guess you guys touched on that. You want to, I don't know, expand?
Yeah, I think we always wanted to. I mean, we always wanted to dip back into the pool of characters that we had created. That was always the preference. It was tough to get people to come in and in the right way, I think. And they were busy, and I mean, there were times where we desperately wanted characters, and we just
there's only a certain amount of space in the episode too.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to make sure that the stories we were telling, we had the time and the space to actually do them justice. So,
do you think Caleb was alive in this world?
Sure.
Just so you, why not?
Why not?
He's always seemed very hale and hearty.
Just so you know, when we started watching this, I forgot that he even died. We got to the episode and I was like, Caleb dies? So there's that.
I was trying to remember when he had died.
gosh,
Before
I do
or
remember
after
that.
this episode.
I remember it. It was season 2
Yeah.
in the pool,
Really?
and Melinda, you were
Yes,
with
I
him,
was
right?
gonna-
I wrote that. I
was going to
yeah.
poison him with Ambien, and then
Yeah.
at the last second, she was going to do it, and then he all of a sudden has a heart attack and falls in, and she dives in.
and then Julie has like this is like it's like no,
Yeah.
tries to save
Right.
him. Oh yeah. She goes from wanting to murder
forgot.
him
To
to
saving him.
desperately wanting
Right,
to live
right.
in about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
to answer the question, I didn't quite hear everything he said, but he was talking about bringing back other characters that, but Josh has on the podcast, he has discussed that he wishes he had done more like Luke or Luke Anna. And, sometimes people are expensive too. So it's hard to get them on.
Yeah. I feel like Chris was on another show at that period too. I think there were some commitment.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I think Carmack was.
Oh,
yeah.
Carmack.
I think
Yeah,
Carmack
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so
Yeah.
the question was, if there's one character you wish could come back for the,
For the
episode
the
in the
alt world.
alt world. Sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Oh, yeah. I mean, it would have been fun to see Caleb or Zach or Luke. I think it would have been great to see Luke too.
Yeah. I think I would have gone Luke. I mean, he feels like he would have been really it would have been to see him and what
Right.
would have become of him. And he seems like he would have like fit in well in our like thong world.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I just love how just stunted Seth is. I mean, he literally has the least, and just to see how so many of these characters did grow with Ryan. I mean, with Ryan, look what happened with Julie. Julie was a lost cause in alt world, right? She was still a self-centered housewife.
She was
Yeah.
helping homeless
It's over
people.
for her.
Daryl
was.
was right there next to her.
That's right. Daryl.
Daryl.
Daryl on the scene.
Daryl's here.
Okay,
Has
we're
Daryl
gonna-
been on the podcast?
He has. I heard it.
He was
on the cold
Forgot.
turkey.
Yep.
I was very glad.
We have a rapid fire to do with you guys before we let you go. I know you only have a few minutes. So,
Kiki and Jimmy or Kiki and Sandy?
I think it has to be Kiki and Sandy, obviously.
Kiki and
Yeah.
Sandy all day.
all day. Oh, Julie and Che or Julie and Jimmy?
Oh, Julie and Che.
Yeah.
It was pretty hot. I mean,
The sound effects were quite loud.
That spanking scene?
yeah.
Come on.
That was just like the
Give me
icing
more
on
of
the
that.
cake, on the tip of the iceberg. Who knew what else they were up to?
Right.
We counted how many people Julie made out with at one point. I'm like,
I mean, well, imagine if the door was closed and Mima wasn't next door.
oh
my
my
God.
gosh. Hajoinks.
A sex chair, perhaps. Who knows? Who knows what's hiding in Julie's closet? You're familiar, right, Mindy?
Sure.
Okay, go.
Oh, okay. Taylor and Ryan or Ryan and Marissa?
Ooh. That's a tough one. I'd go like
That's a
all.
toughie. I mean, yeah, that's really hard. I mean, we had so much fun with Ryan and Taylor because, I don't know, it was a more
yeah.
lighthearted romance. And we,
Mhm.
but
I
Ryan
agree
was our
with you.
iconic.
Toss up.
No, this
All
is
right,
very
you
tough.
can-
It's a toss up.
Neutral.
I think the answer is C, both.
All right. Thong or full butt?
I think
Obviously,
we made
we're
our
thong.
preferences pretty clear.
If there's one thing you get from the episode, it's that.
The one memory I have, JJ, on this, when at some point we were about to shoot it, and we had a discussion with somebody about whether it should have been thong removalification or thong removification.
Right.
And it was either Ian or Bob D said, no, absolutely, it has to be thong removification. And you and I stuck to our guns. Like, that was a hill we were going to die on. We're like, no, it has to be thong removalification.
Removal.
So it came
So
back to
good.
me anyway. I had completely forgotten about that.
We have integrity, you know?
Yeah.
We're artists, and
You can't just go around removing words like that.
No, absolutely. I can't believe the thong song didn't make it into the episode. Comes to think of it, because the thong was so.
I know it was in the script. I mean, I kept waiting for it when I was watching it back. I was like, I knew that we did that. That we shot.
Cisco was like,
think we-
nope.
I mean, we felt really strongly. You should have heard us in the tone meeting talking about that.
I think there was an issue of maybe having to pay for it.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
that would probably make sense.
We were like, there's no amount of money that we won't spend on the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
A
god.
voice of reason came in after us. And,
Stupid.
It's like
Counterman to that.
you guys.
Oh,
I love it.
Do you guys, if you could think of anything, do you have a favorite OC episode or favorite OC moment? Is there anything pop into your head?
I think this or the French Connection. Yeah.
This is up there.
To me, it'd be this or the French Connection. Because both, like here's the way you said, Melinda, at the beginning. Like this season, we were really having fun and we kind of cut loose in a different way, you know? And these still hold such a very like special place in my heart. So I'd be torn between the two.
Yeah, I always say, like, if I could like blink and go back to like a moment in my like writing life, like OCC4, we had the best time, and also it was so meaningful because we knew we were saying goodbye to these characters. So all of these episodes meant so much to us. I remember the cold turkey. I was like pretty invested in too, because it was like it was like a mix of the new comedic tone and saying goodbye to Marissa. I remember it being a really big summer episode and all those things. So yeah, we had so much fun.
Well, it was so fun, and
Thank
I'm
you so much.
So happy you guys were finally able to come on and see you again. And this episode, my goodness, was so much fun to watch. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I could talk about this episode forever. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having us. It was so fun.
And it's lovely, lovely. This was actually my favorite thing about doing this podcast is getting to see you guys and having a conversation that we never had 20 years ago, right?
It's true.
So hopefully we'll get to see you at some kind of 20th celebration this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was super fun.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. Follow, rate, and review Welcome to the OC Bitches wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you like to watch us, check it out on YouTube. And you can now listen to bonus features as well as Season 1 and Season 2 of the OC Bitches by going to castmedia.com/castplus. That's cast with a K, media.com/castplus. Bye, bitches.
Bye, bitches.
Welcome to the OC Bitches is brought to you by Cast Media. Executive produced by Colin Thompson, Harris Lane, produced by Katie Curtwright,
Edited by Parker Flores and our technical engineers, Travis Holden and Dustin Park.